Hello, you're listening to Season 3 of the Hypotheticals podcast. I'm Andy.
I'm Adriano, and this episode is brought to you by the Society for the Protection of Intelligent Toys. Treat us right, because we live with your kids. Cough up a donation for Spit today.
Adriano, I've been thinking about Toy Story. You may know it, the Pixar films, and how our world would be different if it turned out that actually Toy Story was true. I don't know about you, but obviously when I was a kid, after watching Toy Story, I immediately tried to catch out my toys by just sort of sneaking up on them or like turning around suddenly. But yeah, what if this was actually true? What if toys were sentient beings?
That's a great question. I'm almost certain I would have done the same as a kid, although I can't remember it. What I do recall, and I guess we should add spoilers this episode for like anyone who hasn't seen Toy Story. I guess that's all we're going to be talking about. So sorry, like maybe skip to the next one if you haven't seen these old movies and want to. They're very good. Do recommend. They had a starring role in my nightmares for a little while.
Oh, why is that?
Specifically, Toy Story 1, you might recall when you're in Sid's house.
Oh, God, yeah.
The scary toys, and specifically the first one you see, which is that
the baby head with the spider legs, like Meccano's
Meccano spider legs, and a claw. Yeah, I was not happy about that. I was like pretty young. I think I saw it in the supermarket.
In the supermarket.
Yes. I swear. I was down at my local Sainsbury's watching a drive-in, obviously. No, I was in the cinema. And I don't know, I was like 4 or something. And creepy spider doll's head. It's not super happy about.
Is the original Toy Story a U or is it a PG?
That's a good question. I feel like it might be PG because of Sid's toys.
Yeah, because they were terrifying.
Yeah, there's no way of finding out. So I guess
there's literally no way. Gosh, we'll never know. But yeah, so would they feature in this world if it was real? That would be horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we're positing, like, what if the Toy Story films are gospel, basically? And then we find out at some later point, because humanity isn't, like, alerted to the living toys properly, like, on a wider scale. They reveal themselves to Sid, right? And that's it. So what if you find out later, not like, for generations, we've been deliberately manufacturing, like, living toys. That's a different universe. This is what if they're living in secret, presumably since toys first started getting made, like clay dolls and things.
Yeah. You got some really ancient, the ones in the museums. It's a bit like a crossover with Night at the Museum. But yeah, all the, ones in the display cases, they've been alive for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And nobody's playing with them. It's very sad.
It kind of is. And in order to talk, so the question is, what would we do about it? Like ethics, the major...
That is a major concern, yeah.
Right? So I think we have to start by defining the ideal ethical system ground up, right? Just real quick, sort that out.
Yeah. Well, because I've been thinking, like, one of the main questions is, when does consciousness enter the toy? So at what stage in production? Is it when it's first played with, or is it earlier than that when it's built, when it has a purpose?
Like, is it at insemination, or is it like at that point in the pregnancy where you're no longer legally allowed a termination? Yeah,
at what point can you stop building a toy and go, oh wait, hang on, no, we'll ditch this and try again? Or does it come to a point where you're like, we've made this abomination and now we have to keep it because,
it's alive and sentient.
Your factory made it wrong and it's all deformed and stuff, but it's alive, so we can't get rid of it now.
That is... Pinocchio takes place in this world as well, presumably.
Yes.
In fact, Toy Story could just be the aftermath of Pinocchio. Like, the Blue Fairy just got, like, way out of control. Initially, it was just one childless old dude and one doll puppet. And now it's everything.
The magic was not done well, and it kind of spread like a virus throughout the entire world.
It's kind of like a toy-based zombie apocalypse, the living dead. That's unpleasant.
Yeah, well, because I was also thinking, you've got all these sentient beings, which you've just realised, and you wouldn't trust children with them anymore. Toys would not be for kids, because those maniacs are, like, far too irresponsible and always breaking things. You can't let them maim and destroy living things. So toys would just be reserved for adults, and only those adults who've obtained some sort of toy guardianship license. You couldn't really call them ownerships anymore.
Yeah, because a lot of adults who buy toys want to keep them in the pristine packaging until the value goes up.
Yeah, and that's the opposite.
On eBay.
Yeah, but you don't want to do that.
And that's not what they want. Yeah, we're burning through some incredibly important philosophical points very quickly.
We are. Yeah.
Let's crank it back. Slow down a second. Okay, at what point does the toy become alive?
I would say it's probably when it's played with would make sense. When a child imagines it in another world, as part of its play story, that is when, or an adult, that's when it becomes actually a toy and not just a thing. Although in Toy Story 2, actually, all the ones on the shelves are alive, aren't they? So I don't know. In
Al's Toy Barn, that's the problem. Yeah, Buzz is in that aisle of buzzes, and then one of them busts out of his own packaging and is like, "What are you doing out of stasis, Space Ranger?"
That's it. Yeah. So maybe it is the moment of completion.
It might be. They need to be recognizably anthropomorphic to a degree. Or not necessarily human-like, but lifelike in some way, right?
Because... Do they though? Because the one is just a phone on wheels.
That's... Oh no, the phone on wheels has a face.
Okay, what about... Do they all have faces in Toy Story?
Kind of. I was thinking about this because they use you see them playing with little, I don't know, hoops that you've got to throw onto a stick or whatever. Those hoops don't have mouths. They're not like, "Hey, throw me." They're just being used. But then the little binocular guy gets used as a pair of binoculars, but he has little feet and the binocular lenses are his eyes. And the race car doesn't have a mouth, but it does have eyes in the form of the headlamps, and so it's kind of alive.
Right.
You get the ones that are these are just building blocks.
Because I was thinking if a kid picks up a stick and decides to play with it for an afternoon and then throws it away, is that now a living toy?
Oh god, by that logic, children are too powerful.
Yeah.
They must be stopped.
If that was true, then our entire world would be alive, because any time a kid plays with anything, it's alive now. And so, so it's just constantly shifting around at night. You wake up and everything's moved because it's all moving around when you're not watching it.
And there's no way they can reset perfectly every time. They're counting on kids having poor memories.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the first time a teenager gets high and is like, "Dude, but if you, think about it, then, the whole Earth is just, one organism, right? And, the seas are, its blood, and, and it's that's it. The Earth is alive now."
Yeah. Yep. So...
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the anthropomorphic thing does work a bit better.
I think that's key, and it ties in with them. They have to be complete in some fashion. If you don't paint the face on, I think they don't come alive.
Right. So it's literally about having a face.
Kind of. It seems to be. Now the monkeys, right? Do you remember the barrel of monkeys that they used to try and make a rope to get Woody back from the yard, right? Are those monkeys alive, or are they being used as a tool? I don't remember them moving under their own power. But... I think they do.
No, they were alive, yeah.
Yeah, they jump up and down and stuff. They don't have faces, I don't think. But they recognisably have a monkey shape. So I don't know. It's a blurry line. We might have to find it through experimentation.
Yeah. These lab scientists madly trying to find out what counts as a toy and what doesn't, just turning around very quickly, or trying to catch the toys out. Because I'm assuming, right, there's two ways this could go. Either we find out that toys are alive, and suddenly the toys are "Whew, thank God, we don't need to keep up this pretense anymore.
Masquerade.
Oh, that was such a bore." Or it's a reflex action, so whenever they are looked at, they freeze. So have I talked before about the Weeping Angels in Doctor Who?
That rings a vague bell, but I still just don't watch Doctor Who, so please.
Okay, so yeah, they were these monsters where they looked like angel statues, and when you could see them, they couldn't move. But when you weren't looking at them, when no one was looking at them, they would move around and go and kill people and stuff.
That is good horror stuff.
Or I think they actually transported them back in time or something weird. But anyway, so yeah, it would be like that. So as soon as you look at them, they just are frozen again.
Right. So, yeah. The two societies couldn't easily exist together, basically. Because perceiving them, that's a pretty intense barrier to have to... with enough counselling, do you think they could be persuaded to, emerge?
I don't know. Because, it could work. If you... Because you have to... If you want them to do things for you or, I don't know, interact with them, you've got to, play with them when they're inert and be like, hey, we're having such a good time. It'd be great if you could just write out your name and how old you are and stuff on this bit of paper. We were playing again. And then you're like, I guess I'm gonna go to sleep now. And then you wake up and there's a little note at the foot of your bed. That might be like as willing as they are to expose themselves to you.
Right, but this needs to be done by like trained diplomats. So there's people in suits, there's politicians, etc. Like wee, flying them like the little planes around and everything.
They get the mascots from Disney World, and because they're like halfway between a toy and a human, like the people in the big mascot costumes, and they get them to be the ambassadors to the toy people. That's perfect, actually. Yeah, it's set up to be the most hilarious and surreal like form of first contact ever envisioned. Yeah. Which is very good, I think. It's like you've built the big mountain out of mashed potato and Close Encounters of the Third Kind style, and then you like you play the music to them, and then you're like, and I'm just gonna have a nap now, and we'll see what's happened when I wake up. And it's got a Gulliver's Travels vibe as well because they're like so small. Yeah. Yeah. Now, because if everyone was frozen, right, if they freeze every time, and you did convince them to like do jobs around the place, like you incentivize them with being paid in playtime, presumably, because they don't care about money or anything. So just like, right, if you do a good job, we're gonna play with you all day tomorrow. And then you might go for a walk at nighttime, which is presumably when they'd have to do most of the work because there are fewer people around. And so you just like walk out of your house and you just see hundreds of toys scattered about the streets holding like various like rakes and lawn mowers and litter pickers. But all just looking as if they'd just been dropped by like a child who was busy doing yard work. Yeah, and you like turn away for a second maybe to check your phone and you look back and they're all in different places or they've all gone or something. Yep. Just really creepy. All of life turns into like a weird game of Grandmother's Footsteps or whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah, because they probably outnumber us. There's a lot of toys. Yeah, they must have made billions and billions of toys over the years. Can we talk about what toys want? Because I think that's crucial to this whole thing. Okay, I would say playtime. Yeah, but it's not quite so. So, first of all, we have to think about. I was joking about like constructing a whole ethical system from scratch, but you do have to think about it a little bit. I think because it's easy to slip into like the golden rule, right? As espoused, I believe, by our Lord Jesus Christ, which is treating others as you like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? Yes. But it's then limited because, like, what if you're a masochist, say, or like, it doesn't even need to be that extreme, but like, people want to be treated in different ways, right? Yes. Yeah. So the platinum rule comes in and is like, no, treat others as they would want to be treated. But then that's problematic because it's like, oh, well, the way I want to be treated is like, as your sovereign Lord and Emperor. So if you could just do that for me, that'd be really cool. So I don't know what the solution is. Maybe that can be the topic of a future episode. But what toys want, and you rightly say playtime, right? They're obsessed with it. Yeah, like the in Toy Story 3 with the bear guy, I forget his name, but he was sort of monopolizing all the best playtime with the best kids for his favoured elite toys. It's true, and they want like nice playtime, not like being smashed and painted on playtime. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But and Exhibit B is Stinky Pete from Toy Story 2. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to be played with. He wants to be kept in pristine condition in a museum where he can be immortal, away from grubby kids. Right. And yeah, in Toy Story 4... don't spoilers here, guys. So be careful. Throughout, at the end, doesn't Woody go off with Bo Peep? And who was emancipated? Screw these kids. We don't need them anymore. Exactly. Free. Yeah. So it raises a bunch of questions, and what I wonder is the playtime thing, because Stinky Pete is presented as an outlier, right? Like he's always twisted and evil, like only because he's been kept in that box in isolation. And denied, like he's like the sociopathic like villain who was never loved and he was bullied and stuff, and so now he has to wreak a terrible vengeance and he thinks he wants to live alone on like Skull Crusher Mountain, but actually he just wants friends and love like everyone else. So fair enough. But then Bo is like, you know what, we've been slaves to children this whole time. Like I just want to live my life, and that's kind of like a growth thing, you know.
Because Woody, like, and their identity, like, Rex is petrified of becoming forgotten and obsolete, and Woody has an identity crisis because he's no longer the favorite toy, and their fates and happiness are being determined by the whims of children.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Famously consistent.
Perpetuate that?
The whims of children.
Absolutely. Yeah, they can be relied upon.
It would be terrifying, and you would have all sorts of anxiety disorders that would need treating in toys.
You would need a lot of toy counselors, and they would need to be highly trained to deal with beings whose instinct when talking to humans is to play dead. Yeah. A lot of correspondence.
What do you do in your job? Well, I sit in a room with a toy that seems inert and just talk at it, and then I leave for a minute and come back and see if they've done anything.
That would be amazing. What a job. What a job.
You're like, I don't even know if I'm doing anything. I've never seen them move. I don't actually know that they're alive, apart from what other people have told me. Apparently all the toys are alive. But like, there's very little job satisfaction, because you don't get to see any improvement if there is any.
You need people with like a very specific set of delusions. Like, how do you distinguish a successful toy counselor from, someone with schizophrenia or what have you, and like a persistent delusion that these objects they're talking to have their own minds and desires? It's very complicated.
I guess you'd have to build a psychiatrist toy to be a psychiatrist to the other toys.
Oh, that gets into a whole different thing. I'm so pleased you brought that up. Okay, because toys appear to retain purpose and desires based on their manufacture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Buzz Lightyear thinks he's a space ranger.
Yes, and even as he grows and realises that maybe he's not entirely a space ranger, he still there's a little bit of him which is still...
There's the heroism thing, yeah.
Yeah, his personality is very much driven by that.
He craves the grand destiny, right? Like, separate from children, he's never as obsessed about playtime. He's like, guess I'm a toy, I'll adjust to that. But he's not like, finally my true purpose to be loved by a child. He's like, okay, I can be a hero in a different way, I guess.
Yeah.
And the army guys, the bucket of like green army dudes, they're like military. They take orders, they like do missions, and then when Andy goes to college, they retire. They're like, mission complete, sergeant, whatever, and then they just parachute away.
Where do they go?
God knows what. Yeah, they're just off fighting like tiny wars, presumably. I don't know. They're just on shore leave. I don't get it.
It's so strange.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. God, I swear I had other examples, but they don't all have it. Like, Woody is not compelled to like round up cows or whatever.
Well, yeah, like Rex is not really a dinosaur, is he? He's not. Nothing about him screams like I am a T-Rex.
Good point. Yeah,
he's not like trying to eat the other toys.
No, it's true. So sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't. But like, it's really there for the army guys.
Hmm.
So that does suggest, though, that like based on the manufacturing and maybe their like early experiences, like maybe if Andy maybe Andy didn't really have a conception of what cowboys did, but if he'd like leaned into it hardcore, then Woody would be like 100% about,
Right, your
cows.
early play experiences shape your entire personality for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and so could you manufacture, toy psychiatrists, but also like paramedics that just emerge like fully trained? Because that Buzz Lightyear that busts out of his packaging and attacks like our Buzz knows karate or whatever. He doesn't have to train.
Skills. Yeah.
So you could just make like firefighters out of flame resistant plastic that already know what's up.
Mm.
And now we don't have to endanger human beings anymore. These toys want to do it.
Yeah. And then that's the whole other ethical thing of like, you're manufacturing something that like wants to put itself in danger for you. Is that ethical? It's like the cow from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which wants to be eaten.
Yeah, exactly. The cow that wants to be eaten. Is that okay? That's what it wants. But is it ethical to like manufacture a suicidal being who craves for others to consume it?
Yeah.
Don't know.
It's kind of like it eliminates the need for AI. Any research into artificial intelligence gone, because it's just like, well, we can just make anything have artificial intelligence. Like,
We did it.
You simply create a giant robot with death ray arms, and then you play a game of hopscotch with it, and boom, you've got yourself like a fully conscious, 100-foot tall death machine, which you just need to play hide and seek with every now and then to keep it happy.
Yeah, and they're all exactly human level intelligent, I would say.
Yes, yeah.
But bizarrely, like, way more resistant to boredom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they don't have any issue, like, lying perfectly still, and they're immortal.
Yes, which is also worrying.
A little.
Because, obviously, normal living creatures can heal themselves to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot at all, because they're made of plastic.
But they don't feel pain. Woody loses his arm, and it's just like, dang it, my arm. Same with Buzz.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt.
But then so Woody has his arm stitched back on, right? And it's like, oh, look, I can use my arm again.
Yeah.
If they just attach like a massive like Hulk arm to him,
yeah,
I'm guessing he would have been fine with that.
Yeah, because they've got extra stuffing, and he has like a huge bicep at the end of, I think, Toy Story 2.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and then that just gets fixed, I think, like between movies. He just comes back with a normal arm and it's fine. But yeah, there's nothing, like, if you took Woody's head, Sid style, and attached it to a tank...
Yeah.
I think you just have, like, an autonomous, sentient, like, war machine now. Unfortunately.
Like a giant actual tank, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And like, people would do that is the problem. The first thing they do is they make super soldiers.
Because,
if you can worse.
If you can prime it by playing with it, you know, sort of like Buzz Lightyear, as like, you are a space cadet and you're under our control, and like, you have a duty to the United States government. So you've already got your like perfectly loyal soldier who'll never doubt anything that you say. They've got no self-preservation instincts. They have no... I'd say their moral compass is entirely dependent on what you've taught them.
Like, true neutral, I think. Like, Zurg is evil. They don't even need to be fooled.
Yeah.
You just tell him, like, you're the bad guy, and he's like, okay, fine, time to exterminate.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just put that on a tank, or whatever.
Yeah, just build the toy, like, as deadly as you want. And it's off to the races. Which, on the one hand, like, great, we don't need human soldiers anymore. These guys don't feel pain. Their one purpose in life is to kill people of the other colour. So, like, they can just go do that, and it's an improvement, right? A step up for warfare. But I don't feel super happy about it.
No. Yeah, obviously there's the whole debate at the moment about using AI in warfare. But yeah, if you've got like these... Because you could never entirely predict what the toys were going to do. Like...
Once they're out the gate.
Yeah, I might just start killing people if they don't recognise them as people.
And also they change and evolve. Like, they have human level intelligence, so you can't give them like a simple rule set and just be like, it's fine, they're bound by the 3 laws of robotics or what have you. They will talk to each other and, you know, form alliances, and also you'll be beholden to whatever country has the best manufacturing capability. I think China would just dominate instantly.
Yes, because that is where most kind of toys are made, isn't it? So
right, they just stop exporting, hoard them, and then unleash their armada upon an unsuspecting world. There'd be nothing to stop them.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So I think you'd want to stop all toy manufacture. Like, the minute you realise that we've been making people this whole time, you'd be like, okay, no more.
It would have to be extremely heavily regulated. Like, you can't just have factories churning out millions of living things every day. Like, and especially if there are no standards, like, you'd need to introduce very strict standards of manufacture to make sure that they're good quality, because you don't want to create... Right, so this goes into the Toy Story 4 thing, where literally a kid makes a toy out of a spork.
She does!
She draws a face on it and puts on, like, pipe cleaner arms.
Yeah.
And when I was watching that, I was like, this could so easily be horrifying, because you've created this being which is just so flimsy and seemingly dispensable. And that's just alive now? And how does that work? So... Yeah, you've got to have really good standards in factories, but how do you stop kids from creating toys?
All the time, right? Like, Forky, I think he's called Forky? He's painted as like an anomaly, an outlier. But any arts and crafts thing, like, put a face on a spoon, like, decorate your Easter egg, whatever. You'd want to stop kids playing, like, optimally, I think. Just put the kibosh on all of that. Or potentially, I don't know why I pronounced it that way. Because some playthings appear to be immune, and we talked about, like, the faces and stuff. okay, I want to bring up, because I did a little bit of research into toys that got recalled because of having horrible purposes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
a little
no.
bit. So,
Oh, no.
because, yeah, with the idea that a toy kind of retains the purpose it's built with, I was like, hang on, we've probably got some toys with, like, weird purposes. Now, I couldn't find that many. Most toys that were recalled is because they were made with awful, like, toxic components. Lot of stuff with magnets. Turns out kids will detach those, swallow them. They'll, like, pinch their intestines together. It's bad times. Lot of choking hazards. A lot of stuff that, like easy bake
Lead
ovens.
paint.
So again, lead paint, yeah. Some like chemistry kits and stuff that included like actual uranium or whatever, you know?
What?
Or like a CSI fingerprint kit and the powder is full of asbestos. And,
Oh, great.
you know, so whatever. These aren't really toys though. So like toxic stuff you can swallow, you know, whatever. Just keep them out of the hands of kids. Magnets, whatever. And then stuff that overheats and explodes, like batteries and hoverboards, easy bake ovens you can burn yourself on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Putting all of those aside, that's the vast bulk of recalled toys. But I found a couple that are just... There's nothing preventing a snack time Cabbage Patch doll being perfectly alive the same way that Woody is.
Yeah.
But this is a toy with a voracious hunger. They have made dolls that talk, dolls that drink, even dolls that pee. And these are all a little bit weird, maybe, but like innocuous, you know, like, you know, pee baby doll, whatever, wants to pee. And that just, you need to enable that now because it's like a core desire of this doll. But, you know, it's fine. It's not hurting anybody. The snack time Cabbage Patch doll eats, and it comes with some plastic food that a child can use to feed the doll, but apparently the manufacturers didn't realize that the mechanical jaws were too powerful and would suck in anything that came close, including children's fingers, basically. Yeah, and the problem was there's no power switch on the doll, and the motor could only be turned off by removing the backpack, which apparently was like information that was not given up front. It was like buried in the instructions. Yeah, so you have some, and I don't know about Furbies, but I'm convinced they were up to something.
Yeah, they look dodgy.
Real dodge.
Really, really surreptitious.
So basically, thoughtless manufacturers have created some toys with, like, dark purposes. And maybe, like, with enough counseling, you could persuade a Cabbage Patch doll that it doesn't need to consume anything near it with its powerful jaws. Like, maybe just the designated plastic food items. Maybe that's something we can approach psychologically. And we probably need a lot of that for all the, like, Emperor Zurgs out there who need to go through that, like, turns out you're Buzz's father and you don't need to exterminate kind of, you know, all the Decepticons who need to become friends with the Transformers.
Yeah, you'd have to put a blanket ban on making toys in the image of evil characters.
Yeah, we're done. We need to sanitize, like... Either sanitize all the Saturday morning cartoons, there's now no antagonist and everyone's friends, or just stop making action figures of the bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do action figures fit into this? Like, because you know you can get figures of like toys of real people. So they're not really toys, they're more like models. But presumably in this they'd also fall under that umbrella. So like you might have you've got 4 little plastic members of the Beatles. And they sit on your desk and occasionally you like play with them.
Do they have the memories and desires of the Beatles?
Well, exactly. Do you get to recapture, you know, they're doing an interview with the toy versions of the Beatles to find out more about their lives.
Is Madame Two Swords just like a museum of living versions of dead celebrities?
That is even more horrifying than Madame Tussauds already is. Right?
But yeah, waxworks that come alive, that's straight up horror fare. So... Yeah, and do they retain, like, you make a waxwork Hitler? Is that, like, do you need to try him for war crimes now? We skipped over, I only wanted to mention, the only other doll with a dark purpose I could find was Sky Dancers.
Yeah, what's that?
They're not on the same level as Hitler. They're like little Barbies or whatever. They're flying fairy dolls with wing-covered arms and, like, this base launcher you put them in, and then they, like, wind up, and then they, like, you know, and the arms go out. I
think I've seen a video of one which flies straight into a fire.
Instantly into the fireplace, yeah. But what they used to do is, like, fly into kids' eyes or jaws or whatever. And that doll wants to fly, presumably. Like, it's built in. Like, Buzz Lightyear wanted to fly. He had wings. And so how do you make that happen in a safe space? But that's, whatever. That's much easier. You just need, like, arrange, they can go there and the kids will be over here and they won't fly into their eyes and it'll be fine. So yeah, Waxwork Hitler is a much bigger problem.
God. As long as no one ever plays with Waxwork Hitler, you're fine.
Right, it just won't come alive.
Yeah, although, it depends, no, because it depends if we're also talking about coming alive when you put the face on. So, but
yeah.
I guess, yeah, it depends. If it's purpose-built as a toy, maybe it comes alive at that point, but if it's not purpose-built as a toy, maybe it has to have A, like a face, and B, has to be played with at some point.
Yeah, and maybe there's different kinds of play, I don't know, because, like, Warhammer figurines are, like, theocratic bigots bent on, like, extermination of lesser races in service to, like, an immortal god emperor.
Yeah.
They're not good guys.
Or, like, there's other ones, like, every playable army in that is just horrific. Like the Tyranids are just like an endlessly hungry swarm of aliens, like just that want to devour everything in their path.
Yeah,
much like the Cabbage Patch dolls.
Yes.
And so you run into problems there as well. And if their guns actually work, yeah, not good.
But do they play? Are they played with in the requisite whimsical fashion? Because I wonder, like, does it count? Kids only play with that sort of thing above a certain age, I feel like. And in fact, a lot of it is adults. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just getting in my head about it. I'm having trouble imagining Warhammer figurines coming to life in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
But maybe they would. They'd be just like the army guys. And presumably their guns wouldn't work.
I guess so, yeah. The army guys don't, do they?
No.
Yeah. But, okay, right. So, in the films, did they ever have, like, board game characters that came alive?
Oh, like the little meeples and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think we catch them playing a board game. They definitely play checkers.
Right. Because I'm just thinking, Cluedo, if they came alive, you'd have just a bunch of murderous, tiny little murderers.
Oh, yeah.
Running around the place.
That's very true. Yeah. And I don't know, the molded plastic soldiers can talk and move and everything. Like, the materials the toys made out of don't seem to matter. Like, they will walk and flow as necessary for movement. So that's fine. But I do wonder about the toys that are... because some of the recalled toys are like lawn darts, for example. It's darts for your lawn, and it's like a 6-inch spike of sharp metal that will go straight through your cranium. But they're immune. They don't come alive, presumably, because, like, they play checkers. The little plastic puck things aren't alive. They're like a tool more than a tool. But they are being played with. What if they did come alive? Would you be able to tell? Because they don't have faces, and they wouldn't therefore be able to talk. Are there a load of toys in an uncanny valley just locked in, Like, sentient, unable to communicate? That's the true horror.
Ugh. Yeah, I don't like that.
And so there's a common joke about, maybe you've heard this, Woody and Buzz also being the names of Andy's mum's toys.
Yes.
Which she keeps at the back of a sock drawer.
Gonna mention this.
Yeah? Okay, that was on your list too. Good stuff.
Yes. So obviously, yes. Sex toys. Are they toys?
It's there in the name. They get played with. Maybe they don't get anthropomorphized to the same degree, but, like, how necessary is that?
Yeah. I mean, I imagine they'd be avoided by all other toys. And they're just, like, shuddering in a corner somewhere.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe they're just, like, really, open-minded and chill about everything.
The toys are very, like, we see Andy playing, right? And he's set up a Wild West, like, bank robbery scenario with a Mr. Potato Head, and this is a cowboy, but then we got a dinosaur, and then this is his piggy bank, which isn't even really a toy. It's very eclectic and multicultural. So we don't see them performing that kind of apartheid or, like, sexual shaming or anything, really. I don't think we see anything presented in the movies that leads me to imagine that they'd have a divisive society. I think they're actually past racism.
Yes. Well, because they're all subjugated by humanity, presumably. They're all in the same boat, yeah. They
don't seem to see... Like, they're very worried about being replaced, maybe, by, like, hope he doesn't get another dinosaur. But, yeah.
If anything, they dislike similar toys because they're more at risk of filling their niche.
Yeah. exactly. So, yeah, we come back to the fact that their society is ruled over by godchildren.
Yeah, which is not something you really want.
No.
Mm,
I think it spirals into, like, what do you do with first contact with, like, say, a tribe in the Amazon? Do you, like, infect them with, like, your Western, because, like, back in the day, we'd have been like, of course, welcome them into the Empire. We've got all the, we've got civilization over here, and they're savages, and obviously we need to bring them all of our diseases and capitalism and all the rest of it, and take away their gold, and then they can become subjects of the Queen.
And then they'll be definitely happy at that point, because, we've inflicted that upon them. Mm.
Yeah. Absolutely. And their attitudes have changed a little bit, and now it's like, maybe let them do their own thing and have their own culture and stuff. Mm-hmm. And with toys, their own culture involves being subservient to our children. So it's real weird.
Unless... So this is a weird metaphor, but so one of the things with nature in the UK is that they often be like, oh, this bird is really rare and it can only survive in this specific type of woodland. But actually, when they've started to, like, rewild areas, they're like, actually this bird can live in lots of different areas. It's just the only one we had left that it happened to be in was that specific type of woodland. And actually it prefers to be in a sort of, like, mixed habitat. So it's like, is it that we only see toys in this play scenario, but actually their preferred method of existence is more like the Woody and Bo Peep state of affairs at the end of Toy Story 4?
That is what I'm inclined to believe. Yeah, because they're trapped, like, in a world where they cannot bear to move and interact when they're gazed upon by humans. The closest they come to being alive is when they're played. No, that doesn't super make sense, actually, because you'd think they'd be fine living in their parallel society at night, and then during the day they're like, oh god, this crazy beast is, like, playing with me again. Oh, I better stay still. I'm petrified the whole time, right? Like, possums are happier when I saw a GIF today of someone approaching their barbecue, like, outside, like their grill thing, with a pair of tongs, like, click, click, click. And they go over and they open a drawer on the front of it with the tongs carefully, and inside is just an entire family of possums.
Oh.
Yeah, and just, like, the mum is there, like, doing that weird possum grimace. Like, and it's got all these, like, baby possums around it, and it just stares as the drawer is opened and then just gently closed again. And and those possums are having a great time until you come over and disturb them, right? And that's presumably they would just want to escape, like, the child. Like,
I think you are underestimating the patriarchy here, because I assume this also applies to toys.
Okay.
So yeah, with the patriarchy, one of the things is, like, people are the discriminated against groups are conditioned almost to want the situation that they're in, right? So, like, if you're a woman, society tells you must have kids by this age, but not too early. And don't have kids when you're a teenager. That'd be terrible. But also, don't have sex at all. Oh, but not too little, because otherwise you're too cold. And there's all these things which it tells you to be. And so you might seek that out, what society is telling you, but that might not be the thing which actually would make you happy.
Yeah, so like in a more evolved society.
Yeah, so with toys, maybe everything about them, like all the other toys that they grow up with, all the humans that they interact with, sort of reinforce the idea that the way to be the best toy is to be played with and to always be having this fun relationship with your human, whereas actually what would be more fulfilling but is far more scary is going out on your own.
Oh my god, that's so true. That's Buzz's arc, right?
Yeah.
He shows up and is like, greetings, I'm a space ranger. And they're like, no, you're not, buddy. You're a toy.
Yeah, they tell him.
Being played with by this child. And he's like, what are you guys talking about? I have a grand destiny among the stars. And they're like, no, you love children. And he's going to play with you. It's going to be the best. Yeah. And he's like, I guess that's what I like now.
And the same with Forky or Sporky or whatever he's called. Like, he comes in and he's got no idea what the world is. He's like, what the hell is all this stuff? And they're like, hey, you're a good toy. You got to be played with. And he's like, I guess so.
Oh, boy. Yeah, it's true. That system is just being perpetuated. And Bo Peep is like the only one who's figured it out. Like her and her ragtag band of emancipated... Like, yeah, they go out and live in the wilds. They don't need no kid.
Gosh. Maybe Toy Story is a metaphor for feminism all along.
I think it's a metaphor for a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy, howdy. So really, we'd want to, like, enable the evolution of this society, like, wean them off of dependence on children, try and help them through because, like, the same way that, like, Western imperialism is responsible for, like, so many problems around the world, the patriarchy is responsible for, like, the systemized oppression of women and all the rest of it. So when, like, individuals in current generations have got struggles produced by these systems, it's not fair to just be like, well, you know, we stopped invading your countries, like, a while ago, or like, I'm not sexist, so figure it out yourself. It's like, but they're still suffering from the consequences of. And yeah, you'd have generations of toys that need, like, a lot of help to get over the fact that what they really want is to live in servitude to your toddler.
Yeah. Huh. This is a whole ethical thing I didn't know we'd be going into, but it's good.
This got a lot realer than I was expecting, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
To take another ethical left turn into slightly more... I mean, it's still dark, but it's feels less real. Presumably in this scenario, there are millions of toys that are just, like, buried in landfill for eternity.
God, yeah.
Or recycled. So I was listening to a podcast the other day, and there was, like, an ad in the middle of it from McDonald's. But basically they were saying, like, we're recycling all of our old plastic toys and turning them into play parks. So presumably they're, like, melting them all down and then, like, turning it into a play park. So are there just lots of, like, all these melted toys just, like, stuck there forever, like, in this horrible amalgam of play park?
No. Because I assume they can die, right? Like in Toy Story 3, they're all busy accepting their own mortality. Like when they hold hands in the incinerator. Oh, my heart. I cannot. But yeah, I guess what if you just, like, partially melt them together? Like, what about those, like, I swear I've seen crafts on the internet that involve getting a bunch of action figures or whatever, gluing them all to a thing, and then, like, spray painting them all.
Create this sort of Rat King of toys.
Lot of atrocities, let's be honest. Yeah. I mean, all you could do is, like, try and atone and, like, do what you could to help them out. The same way that societies, like, ideally should try and atone for past, like, war crimes and what have you.
I think a lot of it would kind of mirror... I mean, kind of moving away from the, like, immortal aspect, but a lot of it would mirror kind of animal rights as it currently stands, where, you know, for a long time it was kind of assumed that animals are, like, completely dumb and aren't conscious.
No souls, says in the Bible, so
don't feel pain. For some reason they were like, animals don't feel pain, even though we are animals and we feel pain. But anyway,
so convenient though.
And clearly, clearly when you kick a dog or whatever, they don't like it, so they feel something. If it's not, you know, what you'd call pain, it's not nice for them.
That's just dogs acting up, though. Kick them enough, they stop doing it.
Please don't kick dogs, people.
If your baby cries, punish them. They will learn to stop.
No.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it.
But yeah, so, like, but even in today's world, like, some countries have very different policies on animals. Like Turkey, for example, it's now illegal to kill any stray dog or, like, imprison any stray dog. Like, you just can't do it. So they have a lot of stray dogs now, which maybe isn't great, but also you're not, like, imprisoning the poor things or, like, just killing them, which is good. And then on the other side of things, there's, like, various, like, living markets in some countries where, like, you have just animals in awful cages. So I imagine it would be a similar thing with toys, where some countries would be very, like, we've got to protect them, and others will be like, I don't really care at all.
Oh yeah, it's true. And I mean, again, you'd have the horrible war situation where, like, some countries would be like, awesome, let's weaponize it.
Yeah.
And
all the Republicans would be like, oh, these woke leftists want to protect their toys. Cry me a river.
You'd have civil wars again over slavery, but, like, this time it's like whether these, like, colourful plastic little mans should be allowed to, like, do our bidding or not.
The South wants to keep their toys. I want my dolls still. You know, you're not allowed.
Yeah. I mean, the question of what it would do to human children is a big one. You'd have a generation of kids who would, like, suddenly realise, and adults too, like, remembering, like, oh god, what I did to my toys. And also the safeguarding issue,
Oh god,
because
yeah.
these are all tiny adults and we're leaving our kids alone with them. And it's not great, right? We've never seen a toy exhibit any kind of predatory behavior, and they don't appear to have any kind of sex drive, so that helps.
Yep.
But it's still, like, not okay.
Yeah, and well, I'm just thinking, would it create a war between kids and toys? Because, so on the kids' perspective, they suddenly realise that all their toys are alive. As a kid, I would be freaked the hell out and be like, I do not want to play with any of them. And I would probably try to destroy them, because I'd be like, this is weird and I don't want you, like, spying on me, but I don't have the capability, like, I don't have a car to get rid of you or, like, sell you on, so I'm just going to destroy you.
Smash, yeah.
And so, presumably, if this is happening all over the world, the toys are going to be like, okay, our former, like, mostly beneficial gods have turned, have become angry, and we've realised that they're not quite as all-powerful as we once thought.
Yeah.
So would they then turn on the kids and just, like, have at it?
God, you're right. Yeah, it'd be one of those... I can't think of one now, but I swear it happens in some fantasy settings where, like, people turn against their gods or... something. Yeah. The way in which we find out as a society would be... Like, I think your optimal is an Area 51 type situation where, like, the government finds out and very carefully keeps the information from the public, and then slowly phases out, like, toy manufacture through some kind of excuse, like, oh, we've discovered plastic is toxic, or here's, like, an international recycling program, donate your used toys here and we'll get rid of them for you.
Yeah, we found out that putting faces on things gives you dementia for some reason.
It's true, because people would be like, oh, plastic toys, no good. Okay, I'm going to make a load of knitting, like, soft toys and stuff. Like, no, don't do that. No. Yeah, how would you get over that? I don't know. There'd be a terrible, bloody, well, not bloody necessarily, conflict.
Plasticky, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be no good.
Well, I was thinking on a more basic thing, like, how do the toys survive? Like, because one thing that's confusing is that there are clearly some toys which are battery powered, and there are some which aren't. Because, like, in the first Toy Story, there's the car, and they need to put new batteries in, and he runs out, and then that's it. Whereas, obviously, Woody and all the soft toys don't have batteries.
They do whatever the hell they want. Yeah,
they do whatever the hell they want. So there is this sort of divide. So there's ones which require electricity and ones which don't, which is a massively raw deal for the ones which need electricity.
Right. And there's a mix, because Buzz has a laser with a battery for it.
Yeah.
But, like, is otherwise animated as well. Like, if his laser runs out, he's fine.
Yeah. So, like, maybe the non-battery powered toys have to predate on other toys in order to stay alive, because otherwise how the hell do they keep moving? Where do they get their energy from? God,
it does, like, posit the existence of a toy food chain that we're just never shown.
Yeah, when you lose your toys, you're like, oh, I never found out what happened to poor Daisy the cow or whatever. It was eaten by the T-Rex.
So we're suggesting that the films aren't exactly gospel, because, for example, they show us the toys are always benevolent towards each other. There's, like, that whole plot in, I think it's Toy Story 3, where the squeaky penguin is rediscovered. And
Toy Story 2, I think, is that one.
2?
Yeah.
Okay, and he, like, broke and ended up on a dusty shelf, and they risk everything to, like, bring him back because Ohana means family and no toys get left behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, more realistically, they, like, where's the energy coming? You already have, like, a material sciences issue where, like, plastic is just, like, melting and reforming, like, as desired, in order to allow this movement. Although articulated toys only articulate on their articulation points. Like, Buzz Lightyear doesn't like if he can't reach a thing on his back because his arms won't bend that way, then he just can't reach it. But the army dudes do what they want. They're
totally fine.
Until you tread on them, and then they have a broken leg. Because that happens too.
Yeah, they don't turn into jelly and then, like, reform.
No.
Like, to absorb the impact.
And they're not, like, bending their elbows the wrong way and stuff. They're not double jointed. So there are questions.
Yeah.
But you'd find the exploits, wouldn't you? Like, unless you went full, like, rights for toys and were like, we're not going to mess with you, you'd have a lot of unethical experimentation. Like, can we create living materials and then make spaceships out of them and launch them into space? Because it's going to be, like, more cost efficient, but then also you've, like, fired a sentient being into, like, the black abyss.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, go find some aliens to play with. Okay, bye. Yeah, I was thinking like you could have toys recruited or built by like the security services or by thieves or like mafia bosses. And they get paid in playtime, if that's what they're still subscribing to.
Yeah.
So, and you could like build micro toys. So, you know, you can build like atom by atom these days. Like you can build little sculptures and things. Build a micro toy, just put a tiny little smiley face on it and put some tiny little arms. And they're able to spy discreetly on anyone if you've got a good enough sensor to be able to hear them speak or whatever.
Yeah.
If you can hear them, then you can send them on spy missions. They can like infiltrate any building, go anywhere. But yeah, I just love the idea of these really hardened criminal types having to play with their tiny little toys in order to get them to like kill one of their rivals by crawling into his brain up his nose.
Yeah, like to perform a mafia hit. And it goes one of two ways. You've either got like the grizzled, tattooed, like awful thug criminals just like playing with dolls, or they have to bring the kids in because like there's something about childish whimsy that is the only way to properly activate them.
Yeah, and... it's like, why is it bring your kid to work day every day this year? Shut up, Timmy. Get to work.
It's no good. But kids would become the perfect, like spies because actually... I learned just recently that there was some kind of, I think, kids from some Soviet school or something presented to some American president during the Cold War like a handmade, like wooden, like seal of the United States, like with the eagle on it and stuff, in like a gesture of friendship. And it was discovered umpteen years later to contain a listening device that had just been broadcasting from the Oval Office this whole time.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it would just be all that all the time. Like, kids would be immediately recruited into, maybe just like relatively innocent manufacturing for like, microsurgery and stuff. Like, you need to believe that this tiny surgeon wants to save lives. Play with him. And then we can put him to work. Or, like spying, crime. It'd be rough times.
Oh, what a paradise this would be.
Truly. Honestly, the best, I was trying to think of the best thing we could do. I don't know if you have a solution to this. There's so many cans of worms. Were you able to come up with anything?
A solution? What, to this problem?
To the, what would we do with them? Because, eventually...
burn them.
Burn them. Just get rid. Exterminate. Yeah. You either just, let's put this whole thing behind us. This was terrible. I wish we'd never found out about it. So we'll just agree to forget and, tip them into the incinerator. Which is awful. Or you have to go full, okay, no matter how costly we have to take responsibility for these new lives that we've made, stop making new ones for God's sake, and let's, try and, launch this new society such that they can become independent of us. Then in the meantime, they're going to need our help. And maybe a stepping stone on the way to that, I figure, provided you can figure out the safeguarding issues, we could have toys running all childcare services and schools.
Oh.
Right? They crave that childish interaction.
As long as they are mobile during this. They're not just they're just the teachers at the front of the class just flat on the desk.
Yeah.
Until the kids look away.
It's true. Alright, kids, close your eyes and listen up. And then, alright, open your eyes and do your exercises, and just all the toys get done. But I'm assuming maybe, because Woody is perfectly comfortable doing that exorcist moment for Sid at the end of Toy Story 1. Yes. In fact, it's liberating. They're happy about it. Afterwards, he's not oh, that was terrifying. He's yeah, we did it. So, true. It kind of suggests that they're just being very... Almost that they're doing it for our benefit. I don't know. I don't know why they're doing this, but assuming they could get over it, maybe with some counselling, then they might make great teachers. They're practically immortal.
They have a keen understanding of how kids work, it seems.
Yeah. Incredible attention span. They do not get bored.
Mm-hmm.
And they need very little. No food. They never change their clothes. They just want to be kept clean and interacted with by children. They can teach round the clock. They don't need to sleep. I think
the kids might need to sleep.
Yes, that's true. But I guess it would open up the possibility of if your parents work the night shift, now, the kids can go to night school and just make it work. I don't know. Maybe that's not so important.
All the babysitters are suddenly out of a job because you just get looked after by your toys.
You'd have a big problem with, like, you know, immigrants and, like, people who are trying to learn languages can't be au pairs and stuff because all the toys are doing that now. Yeah. But, you know, that's the same issue you have every time, like, suddenly a new market of, like, labour force is tapped or, like, automation. These things happen and, you know, you got to deal with them best you can.
Yeah, actually, all human endeavour would suddenly seem quite pointless because it's just like, well, we know you studied for years to become a doctor, but we've just made this toy which instinctively knows how to be a doctor, and we've done it for about 20 quid.
Yeah.
And so your, you know, like hundreds of thousands in medical school fees is suddenly worthless because why would we need you?
And I feel like that would kind of be the only way to prove, like, if capitalism is just allowed to run rampant, then that's just what happens, and basically, like, Mattel and Hasbro and whatever, just, they are new, like, god-tier corporations, and they literally own everything. And that's that. And the only way to prevent it would be, like, some heavy-duty unionizing and regulating and so on.
Because, they would suddenly have a lot of power because, as the creators of the toys, they control which replacement parts are issued.
Yeah.
So if you're a toy and you want, you know, if your arm breaks or whatever and you need a new one, if they are no longer producing your line, then you're kind of screwed unless you just want to attach like a random bit on. But, like, you know, they can manipulate you by saying, like, well, we're not going to provide you with any replacement parts if you need them unless you do what we say.
Yeah. They'd have that stranglehold on, like, it's basically whoever owns the manufacturing and distribution capabilities, I think. Like, once this outbreak happens, once the big reveal happens, they're in a position to just capitalize upon it instantly. So, yeah. Down with corporations.
Yep.
Broadly.
Down with corporations and the patriarchy.
Yeah, that's the true message of Toy Story.
That was the Hypotheticals podcast. Adriano, where can people find us online?
We're all over the place, Andy.
Oh, we're everywhere.
That's right. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Just search for Hypotheticals. That is Hypotheticals, the weird way we spell it, but without the R.
Yes, and if you would like to leave us a rating on a podcast app of your choice, be that Acast, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, whatever they may be, may take some digging, but if you could leave us a 5-star rating, it would mean that we would get more than at least 5 listeners.
We would love you so, so much. And please, why not tell a friend who might enjoy listening to our dulcet tones. And we will see you next time.
Bye! Oh, what's the Harry Potter elf one?
Oh yeah, the Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare.
Elfish Warfare.
That's kind of fun little blooper. Can you imagine, like, Dobby with a gun? Oh god.
Master has given Dobby an AK-47.
Dobby is free. Gunfire noises.
Just shoots. What's he called?
Like Draco and
Draco's
Lucius.
dad.
Yeah,
Lucius.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it fits our brand because it's the kind of thing that you speculate.
Speculate.
Speculate. It sounds like it's like a Scandinavian like sandwich spread or something. Like speculoos.
Yeah,
like
made
Germanic
with
biscuit spread.
I don't know what speckle sounds like. Like offcut of pork or something. I don't know.
It kind of does it because, like, isn't speck a kind of like, sort of ham?
Maybe, yeah.
Like
so
cured meat?
speculate.
Which is, it's like speck sauerkraut. There's something there.
Or it's like the branding is like this really like thuggish looking pig. He's like a lout, and yes, and he's got like one of those vests on, and he's got a knuckle duster.
He had a big like chain thing around his neck, and he's very cool.
And then someone's just like take a big bite out of his ass.
It's him like throwing like gangster signs and talking about how badass he is, and then someone just picks him up in one hand and just chomp right out of the haunch. Surreal.